Have you ever wondered why life feels like a series of highs and lows, like the weather changing around you? Why some months feel cold and heavy, while others feel full of possibility? Stay with me until the end, because today we're uncovering a timeless lesson Jim Rohn taught. Life moves in seasons, and once you understand these seasons, winter, spring, summer, fall, you stop fearing change and start using it. You begin to predict success instead of chasing it. If you've ever felt stuck or wondered why your progress seems inconsistent, this message will bring clarity. 1. Understanding winter, hard times. Winter is the season of difficulty, the times when everything feels slow, heavy, or uncertain. In life, winter shows up as setbacks, disappointments, failures, and moments when progress seems frozen. But Jim Rohn reminds us, winter is not permanent. Winter teaches resilience, discipline, and inner strength. This is where you learn who you are without comfort. Instead of resisting it, face it. Because winter is not the end, it's preparation. Winter exposes what your habits are made of, what your mindset defaults to, and what beliefs you truly hold about yourself when life stops being easy. It forces you to confront your weaknesses honestly. The lack of preparation, the neglected discipline, the ignored responsibilities, and the areas of life where you've let things drift. In the warmth of easier seasons, these weaknesses go unnoticed, but in winter they show up loudly. Yet this exposure is a gift because awareness is the first step toward transformation. Winter invites you to develop the strength that comfort never demands. It asks you to become resourceful, to grow patient, to endure uncertainty without collapsing, and to trust that seasons change even when the sky is still dark. Winter is where you build the inner muscles you'll rely on for the rest of your life. Perseverance, emotional endurance, clarity, humility, and the ability to keep going when your motivation is gone. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" winter encourages you to ask, "What is this season trying to teach me?" Because every winter has a message. Some winters teach patience, others teach responsibility. Some teach you to let go of what was never meant to stay. Others teach you the importance of planning, discipline, and steady habits. And some winters come simply to remind you that you are stronger than you think and more capable than you believed. Winter also forces a kind of loneliness, not the isolating kind, but the clarifying kind. It strips away noise, distractions, and illusions, leaving you face to face with the truth of your life. In that stillness, you rediscover what really matters. Winter slows you down, not to punish you, but to prepare you. It gives you time to reflect, reorganize, rebuild, and recommit. It teaches you the value of rest, the importance of boundaries, and the necessity of courage. The coldness of winter is not there to freeze your progress, but to sharpen your character. It is the furnace in which strength is formed. And while the world outside may feel barren, life inside you is being reshaped. You are developing the capacity to persist, to stay focused, to keep showing up even when results aren't visible. This quiet persistence is what transforms your future. Winter reminds you that growth does not always look like progress. Sometimes growth looks like endurance. Sometimes it looks like survival. Sometimes it looks like taking the smallest steps possible just to avoid stopping altogether. But these small steps, taken in the harshest conditions, build a kind of strength that smooth seasons can never provide. And that is why winter is never wasted. It's uncomfortable, yes. It demands more than other seasons, yes. But it's also the birthplace of every future breakthrough. Winters do not last forever, but what you become during them does. If you face winter with courage instead of fear, with intention instead of avoidance, you emerge into spring not just hopeful, but prepared. Winter does not destroy you, it develops you. And when the seasons shift, You'll realize that the very struggles you once resented have become the foundations of your future success. 2. Spring, opportunity and planting. Spring always follows winter, always. Spring is the season of opportunity. Fresh starts, new ideas, new relationships, and new energy. But opportunity only matters if you act. Spring is about planting seeds, habits, decisions, routines, disciplines. This is your chance to say, this time, I'll do it differently. Make the most of this season because a missed spring can cost you a year. Spring is the moment when life opens its hands and offers you possibilities you didn't have before, but those possibilities expire if not acted on. Spring is filled with inspiration, hope, and the promise of change, but inspiration means nothing without execution. Ideas mean nothing without action. Desire means nothing without commitment. Spring is not a guarantee of success. It's a window of opportunity, and windows close. This season teaches one of life's greatest truths. The future belongs to the planter, not the dreamer. Anyone can dream of a better life, a better career, a better body, a better relationship, a better mindset. But only those who plant, with discipline and intention, get to harvest later. Spring is when you make the hard choices that your future self will thank you for. Waking up earlier, practicing consistency, taking small disciplined steps every day, eliminating destructive habits, building systems that support your goals, and surrounding yourself with people who elevate your standards. These seeds, though small, grow into massive outcomes, but only if planted consistently. In spring, you must act with urgency, not impatience. Urgency because opportunities are time-sensitive, but not impatience because growth takes time. The energy of spring can tempt you to plant too many seeds at once, spreading yourself too thin. That's not strategy. That's enthusiasm without direction. Plant carefully. Focus on what truly matters. Choose habits that align with the future you want, not the mood you're in. Spring also reminds you of the truth that every seed contains potential, but not every seed will grow. Some ideas will fail, some attempts won't work, some relationships or opportunities won't flourish the way you hoped. But that is part of planting. Not everything is meant to succeed, but you must plant anyway, because every effort teaches you something. How to adjust, how to improve, how to pay attention to timing and conditions, and how to identify what is worth pursuing long-term. The value of spring is not just in planting, but in learning how to plant wisely. It requires optimism, yes, but also responsibility. Hope, yes, but also strategy. Spring is the season of beginnings, but beginnings require bravery. When you plant, you are betting on the future. On yourself. You are saying, I believe that what I start today can become something meaningful tomorrow. That belief is powerful. It transforms your attitude, your actions, and your sense of purpose. This is why spring is sacred. It carries the spark of transformation, the promise of renewal, and the chance to rewrite your story. But only if you take it seriously. Only if you refuse to waste the moment. Spring does not wait for those who hesitate. It meets the prepared, the attentive, the proactive, and the disciplined. If you plant aggressively, wisely, and consistently in spring, your future will reflect it. But if you let spring pass by while telling yourself, I'll start later, then summer will expose your lack of preparation, autumn will yield little, and winter will feel harsher than it needs to. Spring is life's invitation, one you must respond to with action, not intention. This season whispers, now is the time, plant. And if you honor that call, the year ahead can transform in ways far beyond what you imagine today. 3. Summer, protecting your growth. Summer is vibrant, but it's not effortless. The seeds you planted are growing, but so are the weeds. Summer represents the period when you must protect your progress, guard your habits, defend your mindset, stay committed even when distractions appear. Summer reminds us that success is not just about starting strong. It's about staying consistent when life tries to pull you off track. In summer, the danger is not hardship. The danger is complacency. When things begin to improve, when progress becomes visible, when you feel momentum building, you'll be tempted to relax. You'll be tempted to take your foot off the gas and assume that growth will continue on its own. But summer teaches that nothing maintains itself. Every good habit, every new pattern, every healthy discipline is fragile in its early stages. And the moment you stop paying attention, weeds of distraction, laziness, excuses, and old patterns begin to creep in. Summer demands vigilance. It's a season of watching over your progress with the same intensity you used to start your progress. Just because things are improving does not mean they are safe. Success attracts resistance, internal and external. Internally, your mind will test you, old habits will call out, comfort will tempt you, and the voice of just this once will try to pull you back into patterns you fought hard to escape. Externally, life will present distractions, new temptations, unexpected challenges, and people who don't understand your commitment. Summer is where discipline becomes your shield. You must protect your time, your energy, your mental clarity, and your priorities. You must say no more often, choose intentionally, and keep your purpose in front of you. Without this protection, progress does not just pause, it reverses. But summer is also a season of confidence. It's where you begin to see the results of your effort, where you recognize your own capability, and where momentum starts to reinforce your identity. This confidence is powerful, but it must be managed. Unchecked confidence becomes arrogance, and arrogance leads to carelessness. Summer asks you to stay grateful, stay humble, and stay focused, even when success begins to show. It teaches the skill of sustaining effort, not just initiating it. Anyone can start a diet, a business, a new habit, or a new project. But summer is where consistency separates the committed from the casual. Summer also teaches you to confront the weeds directly. Weeds represent the obstacles that grow alongside your progress: doubt, distraction, fear, comparison, procrastination. These don't disappear on their own. You must pull them out intentionally, again and again, before they choke your growth. This repeated act of protection builds strength and clarity. It teaches you that growth is not passive. It is active stewardship. It requires attention, care, and sometimes tough decisions. You may need to distance yourself from people who drain you, eliminate habits that sabotage you, or adjust your environment to support your goals. Summer reveals what is working and what is not, and it gives you the time to correct course. And finally, summer teaches you appreciation. It reminds you to be proud of how far you've come while never losing sight of where you're going. It encourages gratitude for the progress you've earned and awareness of the responsibility that comes with it. In this season, you learn that growth is not a moment but a process that requires protection, commitment, and awareness. When you guard your progress in summer, you ensure that your harvest will be abundant. But if you neglect your growth, even the strongest seeds can wither. Summer is where achievement becomes sustainable. It is the season that tests your consistency, strengthens your habits, and prepares you for the rewards to come. Protect what you've built, because summer is the time when progress can flourish or fade. The choice is yours. 4. Fall, reaping the harvest. Fall is the season of reward, the moment when the invisible becomes visible and the quiet effort of past months finally speaks aloud. In the philosophy of the seasons, fall is the great truth teller. It reveals without mercy and without exaggeration exactly what has been earned. It does not bend to wishes, excuses, or intentions. It responds only to actions, discipline, and consistency. When fall arrives, it calls forward the results of your earlier choices, the seeds you planted, the habits you repeated, the sacrifices you made, and the patterns you refused to break. For some people, fall brings abundance, a kind of inner and outer harvest that feels deeply validating. This abundance might show up as financial growth, emotional strength, newfound confidence, improved relationships, or meaningful opportunities that seem to appear suddenly but are actually the product of long, patient cultivation. Breakthroughs that felt impossible months ago now seem obvious because fall exposes the cumulative power of small, steady effort. But fall is not only a season of reward. For others, it brings discomfort, disappointment, or the humbling recognition that they are facing the consequences of neglect. If there was no planting in spring, no hard work in summer, no discipline when it mattered, fall arrives with empty hands. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Fall teaches one of the most important laws of life. You cannot harvest what you did not plant. Wishes do not substitute for work, hope does not replace effort, and desire does not override discipline. Fall is the mirror that shows you whether you lived with intention or drifted with convenience. Yet even its harsh lessons are generous, because within them lies awareness, and awareness is the beginning of transformation. Fall teaches accountability, not as punishment, but as empowerment. It reminds you that your life is shaped by your participation in it, by the energy you invest, by the standards you keep, and by the choices you repeat every day. In this sense, fall is not merely a season of results, it is a season of awakening. It teaches you to stop blaming circumstances and to start examining behaviors. It forces you to acknowledge the truth that destiny is not something that happens to you, but something you shape through intention, courage, and perseverance. Fall, in its wisdom, asks you to celebrate your victories without arrogance and to face your shortcomings without despair. It asks you to see both the fruit and the absence of fruit as information, guidance for your next cycle, and direction for your future effort. This is why Jim Rohn emphasized the importance of engaging fully with each season, because fall is the moment when life becomes honest. It marks the end of one cycle, but also prepares the soil of your understanding for the next. When you embrace the lessons of fall, you become stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the truth that success is not a mystery, it is a process. Fall ultimately reminds you that while you cannot control the timing of the seasons, you can always control the seeds you plant, the effort you give, and the discipline you maintain. And so the harvest, abundant or lacking, becomes your teacher, revealing where you are and pointing toward who you must become. 5. Preparing for the next cycle. Life never stops cycling, and this unbroken rotation of seasons is one of the most reliable truths we can learn from. When one chapter ends, another begins. When one phase closes, another quietly prepares itself in the background. After fall, winter always comes, a season of retreat, reflection, and rebuilding, followed by spring's opportunities and summer's labor, and eventually another fall where the results of your choices reappear. Wise people understand that cycles are not interruptions, they are the structure of life itself. Those who thrive are not surprised by change, they anticipate it. They prepare for winter even while enjoying the harvest of fall because they know comfort can be dangerous when it causes complacency. They save resources, not only financially, but emotionally and mentally, understanding that life will ask for endurance again. They keep learning, knowing that knowledge planted now becomes wisdom harvested later. They continue growing, not because circumstances demand it, but because they choose to remain adaptable. This is the essence of preparation, not fear of the future, but respect for it. Jim Rohn's central message is profoundly simple, yet deeply powerful. The more you understand the seasons, the more control you gain over your destiny. When you recognize the patterns, you stop reacting and start planning. You stop being shocked by setbacks and start using them for strategy. You stop clinging to comfort and start cultivating resilience. Preparing for the next cycle means accepting that nothing lasts, neither difficulty nor ease, and that your responsibility is not to control the seasons, but to master your response to them. Preparation is both practical and philosophical. It means managing your finances with foresight, so you are not vulnerable when challenges arise. It means nurturing your relationships during peaceful seasons, so they remain strong in turbulent ones. It means strengthening your character when life is calm, so that when storms arrive, you stand firm instead of breaking. Preparation is recognizing that every season contains the seed of the next. Winter's introspection becomes spring's inspiration, spring's planting becomes summer's discipline, summer's discipline becomes fall's harvest, and fall's harvest becomes the wisdom that guides the next winter. When you live with this awareness, you stop drifting through life and start navigating it with intention. You stop seeing life as random and start understanding it as rhythmic. You stop hoping for stability and start creating it through preparation. This is the mindset of the wise. They do not wait for challenges to overwhelm them before they begin thinking about change. They shift early, they advance early, they adapt early, and because of this, life rewards them with stability, progress, and clarity. Preparing for the next cycle is ultimately an act of self-respect, a recognition that your future self deserves the benefits of your present discipline. When you plan ahead, you build confidence in your ability to endure. When you anticipate change, you remove fear from the unknown. And when you honor the rhythm of the seasons, you step into a life governed not by chaos, but by mastery. Jim Rohn teaches that success is not an event, but a pattern, not an accident, but a consequence. And those who prepare for the next cycle, long before it arrives, are the ones who rise above circumstances and shape their own destiny with purpose, wisdom, and unwavering intention. Each season of life carries a message. Learn from winter, act in spring, protect in summer, reap in fall, and your success becomes predictable. Life won't get easier, but you will get stronger, wiser, and more prepared for every cycle ahead.